How much are you looking forward to Sunday?
Yeah, a lot. Since the last trip to Hampden, it's been a bit of a wait, so it'll be nice to be back there in similar circumstances. So I think we're all looking forward to it. We love the big games here, so it's ones that's always on the calendar.
From your own point of view, from that final at Hampden, things have just got better and better for you personally.
Yeah, they have. Obviously, since coming in from the winter break and playing all the games, it's been more than I would have hoped for in my first season. So, yeah, it's been great. Great results that have been going our way, and we're in a strong position in the league as well. So, it's happy days for myself.
That League Cup final was your first final at Hampden. How much would you enjoy 2 in the one season?
Yeah, I would love it. Like I said, it was more than I could have hoped for this season. It was obviously a dream start in the last cup campaign, so we need to go in there with the same mentality and mindset and make sure that we get ourselves to another final.
A goalkeeper's always a difficult one because there is only that one position, so now that it's yours, what would it mean if Celtic are to do the treble this season, that you're actually the goalkeeper that's had such a massive part in that?
I think it's different from last year. Obviously, like you say, I've had more involvement, so I think any time that I can play my part to help the team, it's always great, and I'll take more enjoyment this season because I feel like I've played a bigger part in it. So hopefully, like you say, we can put ourselves into another final after a big game on Sunday.
Were you able to enjoy the pressure or the expectation and the talk about the treble?
We don't really talk about it, so it's nothing that I don't really read anything about trebles, or we don't really speak about it ourselves. So it's one that's pressure-wise, it doesn't really affect us. I think what people need to realise is what the team's done here over the last 2.5 years is special. It's not normal, and the boys through there have made it seem normal that a team can go on and do that. So to even be in the position to talk about it, I don't think you can give yourself pressure. I think you've got to embrace it and be thinking like this is a great achievement already, and if you can go one better, then that's also amazing.
What does the manager say then to keep that focus?
I don't think he needs to say much. I think the boys have obviously shown, like I say, the last 2.5 years that their focus is unmatched with anyone in the league. To go in, week out with these big games it speaks volumes for them and their characters. So I think he doesn't really need to speak much. I think we know we've got people like Scott Brown in the dressing room who push us to a standard that we need to be at to achieve these goals.
What do you expect from Aberdeen, who, it was a draw a month or so ago at Celtic Park? Do you expect anything different from them?
It'll be a difficult game. We know they're physical, they're strong, they like to get the ball forward quickly, and we've played them enough that we know what they're about, and they obviously know what we're about. So I think it's a case of getting our game plan sorted and going into the game full of confidence that we can get through the tie.
Will your final have made it, Scott, if your picture's up on that wall there?
I don't know. I think hopefully I'm better looking than some of them, and that's a few bad ones, isn't there?
You talked this week, Scott, about objects on the pitch and what have you, disciplinary problems and disorder. Have you ever felt vulnerable in front of a main stand at any of your grounds in Scotland?
Not really. I think abuse and shouts and songs is part and parcel of the game, but me personally, I've never felt in danger of people throwing or coming on the pitch, or I can only obviously speak for myself on that, but I've never really felt that way.
What have you made of it all? Bits of stands now getting closed because of the trouble.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to see it. It's bad for the games, bad for Scottish football. I think it's nothing that us as players can really do to stop it. If someone wants to get on the pitch, I'm sure that there's not going to be enough police or stewards to stop someone really getting on there. So I think it's down to the fans and how they want to represent their club.
You're one of a group of players, it's a growing group in this club, that have only known success here. It's a strange feeling, isn't it? Do you drive yourself by saying, fear of failure as a motive, or just more success?
I don't, like I said, it's special what the team's done, and I think everyone outside is wanting you to fail. Everyone outside this club obviously is wanting you to fail. The fans have grown to know the success, and I think we just need to make sure that we stop, we prove everyone that wants us to fail. We just keep going and going. I think it's like you say as well, that you don't want to be the one to fail. It keeps you motivated, keeps you going. Yeah, it's a good position to be in, though.
And of course, you've seen football from the other end of the league as well, and you know the difference in atmosphere in a club.
Yeah, I know where I'd prefer to be.
Scott, you mentioned there that outside the club you think everyone wants you to fail. Is that a jealousy thing? What makes you think that?
I just think, look, we've had so much success. We've won everything in the last 2.5 years that obviously other teams are wanting a taste of that. So we need to make sure that we are on the top of our game, that we don't let it slip and don't let that happen.
And given that there's been that transitional period with the change in manager, do you think if you were to do the clean sweep this season, it would supersede last season's achievement?
I'm not sure. I think any time that a team does what the team's done before is special. It goes down in the history books. I think for us, we can't really get too ahead of ourselves. We know how tough this game's going to be on Sunday, so I think if we can get through that, then we can start dreaming again.
Scott, you broke into the team under the previous manager who placed a strong emphasis on playing the ball out from the back, and that's something that you personally excel at. Has there been any change in the way that new managers ask you to distribute the ball, or is it just a case of carrying on as usual in your department?
I think we try to carry on as usual. I think there's certain games where we want to be a little bit more safe in terms of when to play out. We played obviously Hearts at Tynecastle and Hibs at Easter Road, and we felt like we didn't want to invite any added pressure for the first 15-20 minutes of the game. But I think you can see that the way that we've played has been very successful for us. It's created us a number of opportunities in games and allowed us to control games. So we just look to keep going and keep adding to what was before.
In terms of from fans from the outside, you don't really appreciate the sort of work that might go in as you as players to creating, stuff like shape and how you work to play the ball from the back properly. How do you sort of coach being able to play like that, or is it as simple as you just being a little bit braver on the ball?
I think it's repetition. People knowing where they are on the pitch, where they should be, when certain players have the ball in a certain position. I don't think if you work on it that much, I don't see it as a risk. If I pass the ball to my own teammate, he gets the ball 100% of the time, whereas if I kick it up halfway line, it's a 50-50 straight away. So I think organisation wise was just repetition, making sure we knew where to be at certain times and where the free man was.
Scott, just a couple of weeks now gone by, but you're involved very much in the thick of the MLE at Celtic Park. What did you make of it all?
Like it happens. I think sometimes emotions can boil over in a game. I think there's been a lot made of Scott Brown and being cited for a ban where for celebrating on the pitch, and I think you've got to look at the bigger picture here, that players go through abuse through the entire game from opposition fans, from Twitter, from social media. So I think you got to give and take a little bit. I think if he wants to celebrate a big win after obviously a difficult defeat at Ibrox in the last game, I think that you got to give him just to do that. I think you see what the boys and players in every team go through from fans and from abuse, that putting your hands up in the air and shouting yes is a bit pathetic to get any sort of ban from. So
Do you think it's become a culture of almost acceptance of one-way traffic, that players can get back as soon as you say something back?
Yeah, well, I think it's always been that case. I think we obviously strive to never bite back or speak back, but I think that there's times when you're allowed to celebrate a great win. But yeah, so it's always a case of abuse from the stands or shouts from the stands that if you say something back, then it's the spotlight's on you. So I think we've really prided ourselves on not getting involved in that. But like I said, I think if you want to put your hands in the air and celebrate a win then on the pitch, then you should be allowed to.
So presumably any potential retrospective action against your skipper would be, in your opinion, what?
I think it's a bit unfair that you're going to have to go through every single game of football now and watch every celebration and see that if it's too close to opposition fans that person needs to be cited and potentially banned.
Scott, just one last question. Given that the game's been viewed as your biggest remaining obstacle to completing the treble, are you feeling that extra burden of pressure going into the game?
Not really, because I think every game has been that pressure of treble, whether it was the first round, the quarter final, the semi final. So I think the boys know what they need to do to get to finals, to win cups. So I think it's much of a case of just continue what they've known.
Yeah, and lastly as well, the manager said after the last game he was disappointed to come away with the result that he did. So are you concerned about the number of missed chances over the last kind of couple of games?
Not really. I think it'd be more a concern if we weren't creating any chances. We know that it wasn't a great result for us and we wanted to win and take all 3 points. But I think it was a matter of inches and feet and we would have come away with 3 points. So I think it would be more concerning if we weren't creating any chances. But the boys put in a really good performance creation wise.